Hi and hello everyone. I'm Pavithra Dorasamy from University of Utara, Malaysia, and my co-author Nurin Uzma Izzati binti Nur Izamli. She's from Alpha University College. And today we are going to present on our title regarding on the factors motivating participants to participate in sports event. And it's a case study of Seremban Half Marathon. And regarding to the introductions of my topic, sports events have become an important component in Malaysia's tourism and also wellness sectors, which it attract both local and also international participants, while they are promoting active and also healthy lifestyles. So the rapid expansion of sports tourism, for example, like cycling events, triathlons, and also half marathons, highlights the need to better understand the motivations that drive individuals to participate. But however, empirical evidence within the Malaysian context remains limited. And existing literature suggests that participation is shaped by a combination of extrinsic motivations such as health goals, and also intrinsic motivations, particularly enjoyment, indicating the gap where warrants the further research. So, a deeper understanding of these factors can be support the government agencies especially, and also the tourism bodies and also event organizers in understanding the designing process of sports event that enhancing the participation satisfaction, engagement, and also the overall event success. And understanding that experience which meets the participation expectations and also encourage them for long-term participation. However, despite the significant potential of sports tourism to contribute to public health and also economic development, research in Malaysia has largely focused on the operational and also managerial aspects, which is rather than participant-centered motivation. So, for this study, it's addressed the gap by using the Seremban Half Marathon, which is a case study to examine on how enjoyment and also health goals influence the motivation to participate in sporting events. And by focusing on this particular two key motivational factors, the study evaluates their contribution to participants and by motivation, and also it provides insight into participant-centered drivers of sports event involvement. Alright, as for the objectives of the study, first objective of this study is to examine the relationship between enjoyment and motivation to participate in sports event. And second objective, to examine the relationship between health goals and motivation to participate in sports event. And third, to identify how enjoyment and health goals can enhance the participation, engagement, and also event success. As for the questions and hypotheses of this study, first questions of this study is to what extent does perceived enjoyment influence individuals' motivation to participate in sports event? And second, how do participants' health-oriented goals shape their motivation to engage in sports event? And third, what is the combined role of enjoyment and health goals in enhance the participant engagement in sports event? And further with the hypothesis of this study, first hypothesis is perceived enjoyment has a significant positive effect on motivation to participate in sports event. Second, health-oriented goals have a significant positive effect on motivation to participate in sports event. And third, enjoyment and health goals jointly contribute to the higher levels of participant engagement in sports event. Right, so we move on to the next, which is literature review. So for this literature review, first we identify on the motivation. So as we all know, motivation is a Latin word from mover, which means to move or to inspire, which it plays a vital role in understanding behavior in sports context, which including of coaching, learning, performances, persistence, and also competition. And in sports research, motivation has been conceptualized through several established frameworks. for example, like a motivation scale for sport consumption. And this outlines a 9-piece construct such as achievement, escapism, drama, knowledge acquisition, and also family, which also including of social interaction as well. So similarly, the motivations of the sports consumer, which is MSC scale, identify 12 primary motivators, which is grounded in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and this highlights the multidimensional nature of motivations in sports consumption and also participation. Alright, moreover, we move into the enjoyment factors. So participation in sporting events such as in this case study, we included Seremban Half Marathon. It's strongly influenced by enjoyment. So enjoyment is widely recognized as an effective response which fosters intrinsic motivation and also it encourages the sustained participation. So operationally, it is defined as a positive active responses to the sport experiences, which includes of the feelings, especially on the pleasure, liking, and also fun. So this is important to further supported by major sport motivation frameworks, and this also includes of a sports commitment model and also competence motivation theory, which it both position for enjoyment has a central determinant of continued involvement in sports activity. Alright, so as for the final literature review regarding on the health goals, so this study emphasized the health objectives as the key motivational factors, and also it influence of athletes' participation in sporting events. And this case study, as I mentioned earlier, particularly for the Seremban Half Marathon. So according to Simon, the developer of the goal content for exercise questionnaire, health-related goals have become a prominent driver of participation in organized sports and also exercise. So with growing public awareness of the importance of physical well-being, participants increasingly view sporting events as structured opportunities, which is to achieve the specific health outcomes, and it includes of improved of cardiovascular fitness, weight management, enhanced the muscle strength, and also to prevent or manage from chronic conditions such as diabetic and also hypertension. So as for this case study as well, we used a systematic questionnaire, which is from the GCEQ as well. So move on to the next part, which is methodology. All right. So this research approach, we used a quantitative descriptive research, and also it's a self-administrated structure of questionnaire. And for population and sampling, we used the Krejci and Morgan's table, which is the minimum of sample size is 201, but then we managed to get 200 respondents through the participation in Seremban Half Marathon, and it's a non-probability sampling were used on this particular case. So why we used a non-probability method, which is on the sampling method, which is it's a purposive of specifically convenient sampling, and participants were selected from registered runners of the Seremban Half Marathon who were viable and also willing to respond to the questionnaire and during and after the event. So this method is appropriate because the study focuses on actual event participations who have direct experiences within the sports event. So as for the data analysis techniques, so we used SPSS to analyze the data and also ANOVA. And why we used ANOVA on this case study? This is to check whether the independent variables, which is enjoyment and also the health goals, have a significant collective effect on the multiple dimensions of motivation. So since we want to compare the impact of these predictors across the our DV, which is a dependent variable on motivation, so and want to test the differences in other variables as well, so we choose to study on ANOVA because it is appropriate for this study. So as for the results, first we look on the demographic part. So as we can see here regarding the table, so the female participants are more higher compared to the male participants, which is the percentage of female participation is 56 compared to male, which is 44. And regarding on the age sector, aging from 21 years old till 25 years old are the most highest participants who joined into this particular Seremban Half Marathon, and the least was from 15 years till 20 years old. And especially on the race, Chinese are the lead on the participation, and the second highest is Indians, and the third is Malays. And as for the occupations, students are contributed more participations in this particular half marathon, and the least was businessmen who joined this half marathon. And these are the descriptive analysis on motivation to participate in sports event. And the questionnaire, as I mentioned earlier, this is a sample structured questionnaire that we use to collect the data. And this is the descriptive analysis of enjoyment, and this is the descriptive analysis of outcomes. So moving on to the results and also the findings. So especially on reliability analysis, which is based on the mean scores and standard deviations, the reliability analysis for the three primary variables of motivation, enjoyment, and also health goals show that every item exhibits an excellent internal consistency and also a steady measurement of performances. And as for the correlation items, which is the analysis regarding of this particular case study, which is motivation construction, which is including of aesthetic, education, entertainment, escapism, and also re-participation intention. So the high mean scores is from the range between 4.58 to 4.78, and low standard deviations from 0.472 and 0.629. And as for the enjoyment variable, it showed an unique and predictable pattern, and all the items showed an high and also consistent means ranging with moderate standard deviations. So continuing with the results and findings on regression and also ANOVA results. So as for the regression result, it showed that enjoyment, image, and also health goals collectively influence of sports event participations, which is the R values are ranged from 0.424 to 0.467, and R square values are from 0.180 to 0.1 218. So as for the ANOVA results, it showed the enjoyment, health management, and also image significantly influence all the 5 motivation dimensions, which is aesthetic, education, entertainment, escapism, and also the re-participation intention. Right. Moreover, we look on the significance of this study. So we have theoretical and also practical implication. So as for the theoretical implications, the results support the multidimensional theory of motivation, which is by showcasing the participants' motivation and it's influencing all their enjoyment and health objectives. Whereas for practical implication, these studies have an implication for increasing the sports event attendance as well as boosting the event's participation, especially from the participants who can build the satisfaction and also the engagement of them, including towards into sports events, especially on half marathon. So we move on to the limitations of this study. So first, we get to know the study only looked into Seremban half marathon competitors and the findings applicable to other sports events especially, and its restriction. Right. Second is regarding on the standardized online questionnaire. So it's only used a data collection from standardized online questionnaire. So which it indicates to the limitation respondents' ability. And compared to overall, only 2 independent variables, which is enjoyment health goal, which is explored on this study. So other possible motivational influences can be used, for example, like environmental factors, achievement orientation, and social interaction. So as for the recommendations for the future students, so future studies can be broadened into a deeper scope, okay, which is including the variety of sporting events and also including the various skills. And it's also advised to use a mixed method and especially on the qualitative. And long-term studies should be carried out on this particular case study for monitor on the changes on the over time of motivation. So as for the conclusion of this case study, so it's based on Seremban half marathon case study, and the findings show that enjoyment significantly and positively influence the participants' motivations on this engagement on sports event. And it's highlight that the experiences of fun elements of the event are key drivers for this particular participation, especially in Seremban Half Marathon. So in contrast, health goals, including image and health management, had a limited effect on motivation. So that overall, this case study, it supports the role of enjoyment as a motivator, while the impact of health goals was less evident. So these are the references we used on these case studies. So that's all from us. If you have further questions, you may contact us, and thank you.